And John Spencer, who studies urban warfare, joins us now to talk a little bit more about the battle for Ukraine. Hey, John, what do you make of the Russians trying to take the nuclear plants? What's the ball game? You turn off electricity in towns around these nuclear plants, and then you say, if you don't give up, we're going to keep the lights out?
I think that could be part of it. I think that's a good call. I mean, it could also be like you were saying, this is all basically movements on the plan to take Kyiv. So yeah, it could be to cut off, which is really dangerous, which I don't think the world really wants them attempting that, because even the nuclear plants themselves need power to keep on doing what they're doing. It could also be it's part of his narrative that he says he's moving in to protect these critical sites that are of global importance, really, if any of these were to, for some reason, start to fail. So it's part of his narrative that he's liberating Ukraine, which is all fake news. He's liberating and protecting these sites. I agree with you. There may be tactical values in the overall campaign plan, which is to take Kyiv. Like you just said, he has to take all these jumping off points or critical points as a part of cutting off forces from reinforcing Kyiv once he moves on that, once that northern main effort convoy hits Kyiv.
Yeah, we're going to go back to the map showing Kyiv and giving you a sense of where these are. So the Russian convoys have come now down from Russia here, but also from Belarus on either side of the river. We're going to go ahead and zoom in if we have the tighter map of Kyiv to give you a sense of what's happening of the urban warfare, which is your expertise, John. So we've got these two columns here. We've talked about them bombing them into submission and at some point denying the Ukrainian militias and their armies places to fire from if you've taken out all of these apartment buildings. So far, what do you credit the overwhelming success that we all underestimated of the Ukrainians in keeping the Russian forces from being able to enter the city?
I credit, number one, Russia's military ineptness. They're showing the world that they're not a superpower. They're not even a great military. They're just a big military. I mean, we say within our studies that amateurs talk tactics, professionals talk logistics, and they can't even keep themselves logistically supplied for 7 days. They didn't even bring what they needed. But that's how, of course, it's the vigor of the Ukrainians fight in basically engaging a defense in depth. So keep hitting that convoy and any forces. Like you said, that airfield is critical because Russia tried to take a rapid advance to the city.
Right.
War is politics. His only goal is to get to the president and instill a puppet government.
Yeah, so no, you made a great point about the difference between tactics and logistics. An army moves on its stomach, and Marco Rubio, who's been incredible in terms of talking about exactly what's going to happen and foreshadowing it on his Twitter account from some really good intelligence, he says that both of these convoys, the one moving south here and the one moving south here, are stalled not only because of a lack of fuel, but a lack of food. And he says that in the next 72 hours or so, because they're stalled, the only option they're going to have is pummeling attacks on the Ukrainian suburbs, the suburbs of Kyiv here, in a hope to break the Ukrainians in 72 hours before the army goes hungry. How is it that the Russians can't move supplies 60 or 70 miles?
Yeah, I mean, we love it, right? So they have multiple problems. They have problems all over the place. The soldiers are demoralized. They're having problems keeping their own population, which is great. They're standing up against him. He has problems with his oligarchs. There's no reason why he shouldn't be able to resupply, but mainly it's because it's an untrained military. What it's trying to do, it's never tried to do in the modern era. It didn't build itself up like we thought it would. I mean, they have tires that are falling apart at this stage. I think that the bombing, though, is only a part of their initial plan. That's Russian doctrine to start bombing early. It's going to get, unfortunately, I think, a lot worse, even because there's nothing forcing that convoy to move outside of the fact that it's vulnerable, but it has some systems to protect itself.
Yeah, and every time you take out a tank or a fuel truck inside that convoy, it just further backs up things on the roads into Kyiv. You've studied urban warfare for a long time. As you're watching, we found you based on your Twitter account, Spencer Guard, in terms of following this urban battle as the Ukrainians have been fighting back. What has struck you about how the Ukrainians have been acting and fighting?
To be honest, I was extremely surprised at their resistance. What Russia attempted might have worked. It was more like an Iraqi coalition invasion, light. When we faced light resistance, I jumped in the north for OAF-1, moved towards Baghdad. He faced that resistance, which completely put his plan off, and he had to go to plan B, which he was ready for, but he can't even pull that off. That's the most that I've been surprised about. And now every day that they haven't lost, because not losing is winning in this case, because Russia doesn't have time for many reasons to keep this going. He just doesn't. Just to, like you said, to logistically supply them, he's running out of time. But even to keep this all together internationally within his own country.
Right. We're looking now, I don't know if you can see, we're looking at the convoy that has been stalled. It's sort of sitting ducks for the Ukrainians, who we know have drones and have been able to fire down upon them. Where do you estimate the turning point is? If the Ukrainians can hold Kyiv till this date, Putin has 10% of his forces in reserve or so. That's what the Pentagon estimates. Where does this turn?
Yeah, so that's it's really hard to look in the crystal ball. I mean, he has 10% left of what he marshaled. Could he double down and start pulling things from across his country in? Maybe.
Yeah, real quick, I only got about 15 or 20 seconds. There has been this accusation, or this sort of theory going around, not really an accusation, that the Pentagon won't talk about it, whether this was the JV team of the Russian army or truly the best they have. Based on, as you've watched the videos that we've seen of the Russian army, your assessment?
I think they threw JV in the reconnaissance element. I think that division that's waiting, that's stalled, is the most professional force, and it's very dangerous. But they're showing the world that their entire army, they don't have much better.
Yeah, no, it doesn't seem as though they're going to be able to move. John, as we said, your Twitter account really has been following this war in an incredible way, and we appreciate you joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.